All right, guys, it's a rainy Saturday evening here in Pennsylvania. I thought I'd do a dairy barn tour of the old dairy barn here. There's just something I love about old dairy barns. I love watching the videos on YouTube if anybody posts anything about old dairies. Like I said, most farms today came from originally being a dairy farm. So I'll just take you through here and show you what this operation was like. It ended about 1980, so it was active until the 80s, early 80s, 1980. They had a auction here. This is like a space between the dairy barn is in there and the milk house is in there, and this is like a space in between. There's like a feed trough here, and in there's where I have my shop and equipment. That was the like a freestall barn for heifers and dry cows and everything else. So there's a space here in between the two barns. You can see my loader off the 560, and we got a International 574 there. This was a feed bin that was added later in the 90s for feeding cattle, steers. But if we go back through here, this was the where the silo was, and it's kind of a feed room. I don't know all what they had in here. There's pigeons in the silo. You can see it, roof leaks pretty bad here. We're gonna have to do something. But this is the old concrete silo. It's like a 20-foot diameter, and you can see the unloader still in there. It's like a 20-foot diameter, but it's only maybe 30 feet high, so it's kind of a small silo. And then there's just a door that opens up out here. But so this is the little feed area. I don't know if they had conveyors or anything like that. So come back out here. And in here is where the calves were. I guess they just had them in here loose. You see there's a garage door up there. The wood here, it's the full 2x4 thickness. It's tongue and groove. That was the old wooden silo that was on the property, and they repurposed it here and made a room for the calves. Those head gates were across the front, I'm pretty sure, so they had the calves in here. It's getting in bad shape. It's got to get some work done. And here is the old milk house, and it's built right into the barn. On the home farm where my dad is at, the milk house is a lot bigger. It's a lot nicer, but there's pros and cons of both of them. But the walls are painted that robin's egg blue. You see that in a lot of milk houses. It's just a mess now. It's all storage, and the reason I don't have it cleaned up, and being Pennsylvania Dutch, and like a lot of Pennsylvania Dutch, I'm very fussy and I'm very clean and organized, and everything is just so. It's a certain way, and that's just how I am and how a lot of Dutch people are. This isn't my stuff. All this stuff was stored here by past tenants, and the farmer that retired, a lot of it's his stuff, and there's not a whole lot I can do with it until he gets it out of here, so I can't really clean or fix. I can do some, I've been doing some repairs, but anyway, the milk tank, it was a flat tank, and you can see on the floor where it's at. There's some of the but yeah, we just have a simple little milk house. It doesn't have much ceiling height. I don't really like it, but it worked for them. They had a glass pipeline. So they did have a pipeline, which was something my granddad never had. Milk house sink still sitting there. So yeah, kind of a dark place to have a milk house. And we come out here. And to get to the milk house, you had to come out the barn door and around, so if you had an issue. But we'll go in the dairy barn here. And I apologize if it's dark, the power's cut off. I'll tell you why. I prefer it to be cut off too with the way the wiring is, but you can see the milk house wall is right here, right inside the door. There's no door to get to it. You have to go back outside. It is a cement block. Where did I see? Yeah, they had the whitewashing company that did the whitewashing. Farm white. Yeah. So you walk in the door, and your first row of stalls is right here. I believe this barn held 38 dairy cows. So, and you can see they're run the length of the barn. My granddad made a mistake when he put his addition on over at our place. He ran them this way and put his addition on out that way, and he made like a T shape then, the way the barn was, and he only ever could get 27 cows in there. Most bank barns that you see that have additions put on and were milking cows, they went the long way and they went out that way, but he did it that way. So yeah, they got a telephone right inside the door, wooden gate. I know today you can't have any wood on the stalls. And again, it's a mess, and none of this stuff is mine, so I'm very limited what I can do. So these, I can go over to the light. These stalls are, you can see where the your air line was. Just hook in, the cows are in here. They're pretty solid yet for, I don't know when they were put in, but I know they've been sitting since 1980. You got your chain. Or they were tied fast, and they're pretty solid yet. Overall, the whole thing is solid. These three pipes, you had your water line, your air line, and the middle one was just a brace. I don't like this. And working on a dairy farm from experience, your gutters in the summertime, this time of year, about 4 or 5 in the evening, you go through and you clean all the gutters out, because the feed by that point from the heat is pretty well something you want to get out of there to put fresh feed in. So you shovel the gutters, and we used to feed it to like the bulls and the heifers, what was left. But yeah, you can't get in there with a shovel. So the windows were bad. We just put these clear panels on to keep the weather out. You notice some bracing going on here, and that's the other reason. These poles that support the barn, they cemented them right into the floor, and a lot of them are rotted off. And we're getting some structural issues. So I'll just walk down along here. The water bowls are gone. They had auction here, so a lot of the stuff was stripped out of the barn. Another homemade brace. So we'll just walk down the feed alley here. Just kind of walk around the whole edge of the barn. You can see I cleaned up a little bit. But then again, it's not my stuff. It's not the condition I'd like to have the place looking. Here's where the gutter cleaner went out. You can see the boards over it. Went out under the floor, under the wall there. The electric's still there, but it's disconnected. And there's a door out here that you could go out. The windows, I redid the windows, repainted them and put new panes in. They can flip back for ventilation. There were fans in this barn. They were sold at the auction. They were here, I think, all along this western wall. There were fans. And your center alley. Good height. You don't have to worry about hitting your head. Good clearance. So there's where the stalls are. A lot of bracing going on here. And this issue, one of the guys that was renting the barn space went through the floor. And he's lucky that the tractor straddled the beam, or he would have been right down in the bottom. Loading round bales and too big equipment and trying to drive in on the barn, and you see all the wires were pulled down. That's why the power's cut off, and I'd sooner have it that way till we get some wiring done. So then you had a sliding door here. You could open it in the summer. It still works. There's the other edge of the gutter cleaner, and the gutter cleaner only did the main section here, both sides, and then it went out through there. This barn is very wide. It's a very wide bank barn, and they have a whole nother row here of stalls and a gutter. I don't know if you can see it, it's dark back here. A gutter all the way up through, but absolutely no gutter cleaner. here. So this section you'd have to shovel by hand. So it's and the wall is starting to fall down. Again, got some work to do. It can be saved. It's not too far gone. But and then out here, I cleaned this up. This still had manure in here and bedding and everything else. This is where the maternity, kind of a maternity pen was. It's like an add-on to the barn. There was old insulation I had ripped down. This winter we got 27 inches of snow and actually cracked one of the rafters. I was up there shoveling the snow off in that storm. So it's only concrete to here. Probably get the manure spreader in. There's another sliding door there. It was a garage door. It was rotten, so we replaced it with just a sliding door. And we got some windows that are in bad shape, but nice concrete wall there. And then that was just a dirt floor that they had straw on. I tore the stalls. It was just all wood. I cleaned it up and was going to use it for storage. Now the cats are just using it as a litter box. So I'll get some stone in there or something. And this feed alley, this was tight coming up and down through here. Again, trying to clean the troughs out. Not the easiest job the way these stalls are. And I don't know what manufacturer these were or what design that was, but somebody else will probably know. And we got snow fence and all kinds of just... None of it's mine, so I can't do anything with it. So here it sits. So yeah, 38 dairy cows. If you'd want to, you could probably double that, the freestall area where all my equipment is. You could probably put 38 more in there and just change the barn. A lot of guys around here did that they only had 20 stalls and then they had built a freestall and they just used the 20 stalls to milk the cows. You could do that here, but the barn needs a lot of work. And 60 or 70 cows I don't think is going to cut it anymore. I don't know. This door went out to where the calves were. And this is what's really neat. Every barn has a... Well, there's the calendar when they quit. It's been there since they stopped milking cows. 80, looks like February, March of 80. Here's the medicine cabinet yet. And all that stuff is still in there from when the cows were there. And the old breeding chart. And then that up there is a book. They must have had registered their cows. They have the drawings of the cows still in there. So I'll just let it there for the time being till we get some things sorted out. So yeah, that was a... And I don't know how full the barn ever was, but I know it had a glass pipeline. I know they had... it's a little more modern than my granddad with the milk cans. But then again, this was going up until 80 and he died in 1968, so I don't know what he would have done. So right now it's just storage for other people's stuff, and that's all it is now. It's just sitting. I'm kind of at a crossroads. I can't really do anything. I can clean up here and there, but until the stuff gets cleaned out. One thing I gotta do is get this hay hole closed in. Somebody did fall through that already before I was even here. So it's got to get closed in. And all this rotten straw out of here. But that's what it is. I'm always interested to see old dairy farms. There's not as much here to show. I know a lot of them still have milkers and all that kind of stuff. The gutter cleaner's still there, but they had auction here and it was stripped down, and right now it's just kind of a storage area. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of a tour of the dairy barn. Like I said, I love to see old dairy barns. I love to be inside of them. Like to milk cows someday, but I don't think here. So thanks for watching, guys.